All right, YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Tyshawn Miller Films. We back again with another banger reaction. So today we're going to be reacting to every horror movie sequel that's better than the original. This is by Movie Guy Explained. I'm a huge horror fan, so I really wanted to check this video out. It looked interesting, so without further ado, we gonna dive right into it. 3, 2, 1, let's get it.
Evil Dead 2. Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2 took the scrappy Cabin in the Woods cult classic and turned it into a wild horror comedy that many critics and fans
That boy
say
Ash
actually
Williams
improves on the
couldn't
original.
catch a break.
The Evil Dead in 1981 was a micro-budget shocker made for around $350,000 and became a cult hit for its relentless gore and DIY ingenuity. Evil Dead 2 in 1987, again directed by Sam Raimi and starring Bruce Campbell
Which is a
as Ash
fantastic
Williams,
director.
was produced for a larger budget of around $3.5 million, allowing more elaborate set pieces and special effects. Rotten Tomatoes lists Evil Dead 2 with an 88% approval rating from critics, and the site's consensus describes it as a comedy of terrors that improves on the original's formula by reimagining the story with a wilder horror comedy tone. The sequel essentially remakes the first act of The Evil Dead in its opening, then continues the story with Ash alone in the cabin as demonic forces toy with him. Most famously in
Yeah, I would say Evil Dead 2 is better than Evil Dead. It had Ash doing a lot of crazy shit, a lot of crazy funny shit in it. So, but yeah, I think I would like Evil Dead 2 over 1.
in the laughing cabin sequence, where the mounted deer head and furniture cackle. Raimi leans hard into slapstick as Ash's possessed hand attacks him, leading to the chainsaw amputation and the iconic groovy moment, cementing Campbell as a horror icon. Critics and franchise retrospectives repeatedly rank Evil Dead 2 as the best reviewed entry in the series, and the point where Raimi's hyperkinetic style and black comedy fully snap into place. Fan and critic discussions routinely describe Evil
The best
Dead
one
2
I would have to say
as far
would be
superior in craft, pacing,
Fede
and entertainment value.
Alvarez's
Even among
Evil
those
Dead.
who still find the original
Now
scarier,
that Evil Dead
this
is
sequel
fire.
succeeds by using more resources and a refined tone to reinvent its own story, proving how leaning into horror comedy and stylization can transform a rough, effective original into something more iconic and widely accessible. Bride of Frankenstein. Universal's 1935 Bride of Frankenstein is frequently hailed as one of the
I don't
rare
really
classic
remember Bride
horror
of
sequels
Frankenstein.
that surpasses its legendary original. Frankenstein, in 1931, directed by James Whale and starring Boris Karloff as the monster, is a foundational horror film, but was constrained by early sound filmmaking and censorship. Bride of Frankenstein, in 1935, again directed by Whale with Karloff returning, expands the story immediately after the first film's ending.
Yeah, I wasn't really, when it comes to like the classic, Universal movie monsters, I wasn't really a big Frankenstein fan, to be honest with you. I was more of like a Dracula guy, mummy, werewolf. I wasn't even a fan of the thing from Black Lagoon or something like that. Yeah, I think I'd say my favorite movie monster would probably be Dracula. Yeah, I was a huge Dracula fan. Still am to this day.
Deepening the monster's loneliness and desire for companionship. The sequel introduces Dr. Pretorius, played by Ernest Thesiger, whose campy, sinister performance and homunculus mini-people sequence add dark humor and a more flamboyant tone. Modern genre histories cite Bride as a landmark horror sequel, often highlighting its richer themes of otherness, rejection, and blasphemy, alongside more elaborate production design. Many critics and fans argue Bride is a superior sequel in every aspect, praising its more complex emotional arc and iconic finale with the monster's line, "We belong dead." Horror essays and lists of best horror sequels
I've heard that
always
line
include
before.
Bride, sometimes citing it as the earliest example of a sequel widely seen as better than the original. This film proves that horror sequels have been outshining originals since the 1930s, demonstrating how amplifying themes, adding dark humor, and deepening a monster's inner life can elevate a simple gothic tale into one of horror cinema's canonical masterpieces. Scream 2. Wes Craven's Scream 2 took the meta-slasher
Yes.
hit and, according to Rotten Tomatoes and many
One of
critics,
the best
sharpened the
screams,
formula into a sequel some rank above the original.
even though they killed
Scream in
Randy.
1996
Which,
revitalized
come
slashers
on
with
now.
self-aware characters dissecting horror
But it was
rules,
still a
earning
fire-ass
strong
movie.
critical and commercial success. Scream 2 in 1997 shifts Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, to college, with the Ghostface killings mirroring the release of an in-universe movie called Stab, based on the first film's events. Rotten Tomatoes editorial notes that Scream 2 currently holds the highest tomato meter score in the Scream franchise,
As it
edging out the
should.
original with an 81% critic rating. Commentaries and fan discussions credit Scream 2 with escalating the meta-commentary by directly interrogating whether sequels can surpass originals, a question this film itself is often used to answer yes. Critics highlight its more elaborate set pieces, including the opening cinema attack, the sound booth sequence.
Hey man, Scream 2 has one of the best horror openings of all time. I don't care what nobody says. That horror movie opening, now you have to what's the word I'm looking for? Basically it's in disbelief, cuz in reality that opening would never happen, and Mickey would have, spoilers if you haven't seen Scream 2, which, what are you doing? Go watch it. But in reality, that opening would never have happened. It never could have happened, and Mickey would have gotten caught instantly. Because I mean, you would have had motherfuckers in the in the theater, you know, they in there throwing popcorn and running around and shit. Man, black person, they be like, hey, you need to sit your ass down. I paid good money for these tickets. I want to see this movie. Like, you're not just going to be running around screaming. And, you know what I'm saying? Security would have been all up in there. You know, so in hindsight, in reality, that opening would never happen. But you have to suspend disbelief and just, you know, just go with the fact that it's a movie. And, you know, within that movie, that one of the best movie openings of all time. It's truly amazing. It will stand the test of time.
And the silent crawl over a knocked-out killer, alongside deeper exploration of media sensationalism and trauma. Gene Siskel famously reviewed the first Scream negatively, but praised Scream 2, contributing to its reputation as a smarter, more ambitious follow-up. This sequel stands as a rare slasher that directly addresses sequel fatigue, while also being held up as the series' high point, proving that self-awareness and smarter themes, not just higher body counts, can help a sequel outdo its originator. Dream Warriors. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3,
Nightmare on
Dream
Elm
Warriors,
Street,
is often cited by fans as the franchise peak, with many calling it a stronger film than Wes Craven's original. A Nightmare on Elm Street, in 1984, introduced Freddy Krueger and dream-based kills, revitalizing slasher horror with a surreal premise. Dream Warriors, in 1987, directed by Chuck Russell with Wes Craven returning as co-writer, brings back Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson,
man, Freddy was
mentoring
taking them motherfuckers
institutionalized
out,
teens
boy.
who learn to fight Freddy inside their dreams. Fan polls and Reddit horror threads frequently list Dream Warriors as their favorite Elm Street entry, praising its ensemble of memorable teen
It
characters.
definitely
and
is one
inventive
of the
dream
better
powers.
ones.
Critics credit Dream Warriors with balancing darker horror and imaginative fantasy, expanding Freddy's mythos without collapsing fully into camp, as later sequels did. The film
Yeah,
introduces
because
iconic
when Freddy
imagery
gets
like
too
the puppet
comical,
vein sequence and the
I
TV
feel like it
kill
starts
with
to
the
lose
line,
its touch.
"Welcome to prime time," which became series-defining moments often mentioned more than kills from the original. Articles about horror sequels that outshine the original commonly include Dream Warriors for refining the tone and giving Freddy a more distinct personality while still being scary. This third film evolved a slasher franchise.
And I do believe that's why, you know, aside from everything that's going on with, I guess, like a dispute or something, or with like New Line or something like that, why we haven't gotten another Nightmare on Elm Street yet is, I mean, it's just, I mean, I know there's an actor out there that can play Freddy, you know, and of course they're not going to make it like Robert Englund, because nobody can be Robert Englund, but, you know, definitely making it your own, I guess You know, I can't think of an actor off the top of my head right now who I think could play Freddy Krueger, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely love to see another Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, especially, I mean, it's 2026. We should have had at least about two or three by now, but you know how Hollywood does.
As into its most beloved form, demonstrating how richer character ensembles and mythos expansion can push a concept beyond a one-off nightmare. Jason Lives. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, is widely regarded as the best of the Friday sequels, and, for many fans and some historians, the moment the series
Now,
finally
this is a
becomes what
franchise
people think
I
Friday the 13th
honestly
is.
never
The
really
original
cared
Friday
for.
the 13th in 1980 is a whodunit summer camp slasher where Mrs. Voorhees is the killer and Jason's hockey mask persona does not exist yet. Jason Lives in 1986, written and directed by Tom McLaughlin, resurrects Jason as an explicitly undead, superhuman killer after the divisive imposter Jason of Part 5. The film's critical summaries note that Jason Lives was the first Friday sequel to receive generally positive mainstream reviews and has become a fan favorite. Genre outlets highlight Jason Lives as the quintessential Friday movie, combining gothic visuals, rock song needle drops including Alice Cooper, and meta humor that predates Scream's self-awareness. The opening graveyard resurrection, the RV crash, and the
I think I'd
underwater
say one of my
climax are
favorites is
repeatedly singled
probably
out as
Jason
some
Takes
of the
Manhattan.
franchise's best staged sequences. Reddit and fan essays routinely call it the
And
best in the franchise,
Freddy versus
praising
Jason,
its balance
but
of
that's
genuine
not like
scares
a,
and tongue-in-cheek comedy.
you know, Freddy's
alongside
obviously in
its
that
more
one, so it's
sympathetic
not an
Final Girl
actual
and proactive
solo
Tommy
Jason
Jarvis.
movie.
This
But
sequel
yeah,
demonstrates
I
how
think my
leaning
favorite
into
Friday
supernatural
is
mythology
Jason
and
Takes
self-aware
Manhattan.
fun can rescue a slasher series from fatigue, becoming the first Friday film people cite when arguing that a late franchise sequel can actually be the most enjoyable entry. Purge Anarchy. The Purge Anarchy
The Purge.
took a cramped home invasion concept and expanded it into a full-blown urban
Hey man,
nightmare.
I remember when The Purge was coming out like every damn year. You know what I'm saying? Y'all remember that? When the Purge, they released The Purge damn near every year. Like that shit was but they were fire though. There was a lot of good ones. I think after the first Purge, that's when I stopped watching. But yeah, I mean the Purge movies were, the first one was really good. I hate that Ethan Hawke dies at the end of that one, but the first one was really good. Of course, that was the one that started it all. And then as they went on, they got, you know, semi better and better. But yeah, I haven't seen what was the last, I think, did they make two more after the first Purge? I know it was one like set in Mexico or something like that. And I think they made one before that too that I haven't seen. But yeah, they was they was releasing purges like what was another franchise that was getting a lot of movies like year after year after year. I can't think, but yeah, the Purge was I remember they was knocking them out like year 1 year one would come out, next year another one would come out.
Nightmare that many critics and fans agree finally delivered on the franchise's premise. The Purge, in 2013, used its one night of legal crime idea.
Hey man, if that was a real thing, would y'all do it? The Purge, you know what I'm saying? Would y'all really go out and, you know what I'm saying, if murder was legal for what is it, 12 hours, 24 hours, something like that? But would y'all do it? Would y'all actually go out and murder someone completely legal? You know what I'm saying? Would y'all do it? Me personally, I wouldn't, but you know, to each his own.
Yeah, mostly for a single house siege thriller, leaving many viewers feeling the social concept was underused. The Purge Anarchy, in 2014, directed again by James DeMonaco, moves the action into Los Angeles streets.
I think this one had Frank Grillo in it.
Grillo's
Yep.
vigilante sergeant trying to survive outdoors during the Purge. Articles on horror sequels better than the original emphasize that Anarchy explores the wider class and political implications of the Purge, including death squads and
I
wealthy
definitely
elites
hate to
hunting
be
the
stuck
poor
out on
for
Purge
sport.
night. I
A
know
list
that.
based on Rotten Tomatoes notes that The Purge's
But
critic
see,
score is beaten by
I'd
every
be armored
sequel,
up though.
with Anarchy's tomato meter significantly higher than the
Guns,
original.
armored
Genre
car,
outlets call
all that
Anarchy the
shit.
sequel that showed audiences the real Purge, arguing it transforms a neat premise into a richer dystopian world, and delivers more dynamic action and varied threats. Reddit horror threads frequently list Anarchy among sequels that clearly outperform their originals in both scope and tension. This sequel exemplifies what happens when a follow-up does what audiences wished the original had done, proving that expanding geography and socio-political themes can turn a wasted premise into a genuinely compelling horror action franchise. By the way, if you are enjoying this type of content, I create videos like this all the time. I would really appreciate a subscribe. Final Destination 2. Final Destination 2 cranked up the Rube Goldberg mayhem so
it's
effectively
my second
that
favorite
many
horror
reviewers
franchise.
and fans argue it is a better,
Scream
more
is my
entertaining
first.
film than the original. Final Destination introduced Death's invisible design.
And you know what? Here's the thing about Final Destination for me. Like I said, it's my second favorite horror franchise, but I feel like to me with the Final Destination movies, even though we're up on what, six now with Bloodlines, I think it's 6. I feel like after a while, they'll just get stale, because I mean, especially, you know, I mean, this isn't a spoiler. Pretty much all the main characters die by the end of the movie, aside from 2 when they had, or 1, I should say, when they had Claire, Alex, and what's the jock's name in the first one? Carter. Yeah, they had them 3 survive the first one, and then Kimberly and the other guy survived part 2, which she's actually still alive in the timeline, which I'm surprised that they did that. But you know, aside from the rest of the movies, all the main characters basically die. It's like you don't leave anyone alive. You know what I'm saying? And I actually had a good idea for a Final Destination movie where they would have let at least one main character live at the end of the movie, and then just have this one big epic Final Destination movie where all the characters that survived come back, and then death tries to kill all of them. You know, of course you can throw some new characters in there or whatever, but just like have all the remaining characters that actually lived throughout their Final Destination movie, and then just have them come back and just meet up and, you know, meet each other and everything like that. I think that would be a pretty good idea, but you know, it just becomes repetitive, because by the end of the movie, you already know all of the main characters are going to die. So that was my one problem with the Final Destination franchise, but I still love it. I mean, Bloodlines was awesome. It was definitely one of the better sequels, but yeah.
Design through a doomed group of plane crash survivors, focusing more on paranoia and rules discovery than spectacle. Final Destination 2 in 2003 opens with the now infamous highway pileup involving a logging truck, often cited as one of horror's most memorable opening disaster sequences. 2025 Retrospective notes that Final Destination 2 is a better film than its predecessor.
And you definitely know this one had an impact on people, because
kills tailored to
nobody,
the
every time somebody sees like a log truck,
user reviews
they
and horror
don't want to drive behind
repeatedly
it,
describe Final
because
Destination
the first
2
thing they
as
think about
better
is
than the
Final
original,
Destination 2.
citing more likable characters, more creative deaths, and improved tension between set pieces. The sequel explicitly ties back to survivors of the first film, using Clear Rivers, played by Ali Larter, and the Tony Todd Mortician cameo to deepen the mythology and sense
Rest
of
in peace,
continuity.
Tony Todd.
Listicles about improved horror sequels often include Final Destination 2 as the moment the series found its true identity of elaborate, darkly comic cause and effect death scenes. This sequel works by leaning fully into the premise's most outrageous element, in this case absurdly intricate accidents.
Oh my god, hi.
Hey, what's up?
I got declined at Target today for formula.
Wait, what?
proving how a bigger, bloodier approach can create a follow-up many genre fans prefer over a more restrained original. Annabelle Creation. Annabelle Creation not only outperforms the first Annabelle on every critical metric, but it is also often cited as one of the best films in the entire Conjuring universe. Annabelle in 2014, a spin-off from The Conjuring centered on the haunted doll, was critically panned, with Rotten Tomatoes scores around 29% and reviews calling it dull and derivative. Annabelle Creation in 2017, directed by David F. Sandberg, serves as an origin prequel set years earlier,
Annabelle
following
Creation
a doll maker and his
really
wife who shelter orphan girls in a farmhouse where Annabelle's evil is unleashed. Ahead of release, multiple outlets reported Creation holding a rare 100% Rotten Tomatoes score from its first wave of reviews before it later stabilized in the mid-70s, still far above the original's 29%. Write-ups call Creation a much better film, and even the franchise's greatest effort to date, noting that its score temporarily eclipsed The Conjuring at 86% and The Conjuring 2 at 80%. Horror forums frequently state that Creation is way better than Annabelle 1, praising its stronger main characters, including the orphan girls and nun, better set pieces, including the dumbwaiter, the scarecrow, and the bedroom sequences, and more cohesive script. Reviews highlight Sandberg's knack for visual scare construction, borrowed from Lights Out, and Creation's willingness to be meaner and more intense than a typical studio prequel while still operating within a PG-13 framework. Box office and franchise commentary note that Creation's positive reception rehabilitated the Annabelle label, encouraging further spin-offs and helping sustain the Conjuring verse as a long-running horror brand. This sequel represents an objective triumph where critics, audiences, and box office performance all point to a follow-up that dramatically corrects a weak original, proving how horror franchises can turn even their most derided sub-brands
the best one, honestly,
with the right creative team. 10 Cloverfield Lane. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Now, I did not like this sequel. Well, I wouldn't even call this a sequel, but I did not like this movie at all. I love the first Cloverfield. I'm so mad it's been how many years later since Cloverfield came out, and we still haven't gotten like a direct sequel to Cloverfield. But 10 Cloverfield Lane it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I did not like it. I mean, John Goodman's performance was good. He was just about the best thing in the movie. But to me, this was just like dull. It was boring. I mean, you saw like a little monster like towards the end of the movie, and I think they were saying that it's obviously not a direct sequel to Cloverfield, but it takes place in the same timeline or universe as Cloverfield, along with the Netflix movie. What was it? Cloverfield Paradox, which that movie was trash too. But I don't understand why they can't just give us a direct sequel to Cloverfield, which we're supposed to be getting. But I mean, that was way back in 2019, 2020, I believe, and we still haven't gotten like a direct sequel to Cloverfield. But yeah, I did not like this movie at all.
Quietly arrived as a spiritual sequel and ended up being widely regarded as a tighter, better film than the original Cloverfield. Cloverfield in 2008 used found footage style to depict a giant monster attack on New York and was praised for marketing and scale, but criticized by some for thin characters and nausea-inducing camera work. 10 Cloverfield Lane in 2016, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, relocates the action to a bunker where Michelle,
isn't
played
he
by
doing
Mary
like
Elizabeth Winstead,
the Predator
is
films?
held by doomsday prepper Howard, played by John Goodman, who insists the outside world is contaminated. Rotten Tomatoes ranks 10 Cloverfield Lane higher than Cloverfield, with the sequel earning a mid-90s critic score compared to the original's high 70s to low 80s range. Reviews call it a tight, tense thriller carried by powerhouse performances from Goodman and Winstead, praising its character focus and claustrophobic suspense over spectacle. Film discussion threads overwhelmingly trend toward preferring 10 Cloverfield Lane, calling it a better acted movie with better characters and more interesting themes, even among people who like the original.
No, it's
Critics
not.
note that it mostly works as a standalone chamber thriller, with the late film connection to the Cloverfield universe often described as the weakest part, underscoring how strongly the core story stands on its own. This sequel demonstrates how an anthology-style follow-up can outperform its blockbuster predecessor by trading shaky cam chaos for sustained psychological tension, becoming a frequently cited example of how horror-adjacent franchise entries do not need direct plot continuity to surpass the original. VHS 2. V/H/S2 is widely seen as a sharper, more consistent found footage anthology than the first V/H/S, to the point that many say it outright outdoes the original.
I think the only one that was
V/H/S in 2012
really bad
revived
was
the horror anthology in found
Viral.
footage form, but drew criticism.
All the other
for
ones
uneven
have been really
segments and a weak
good.
wraparound
Even the
story.
most recent one, I think it was what?
V/S2
VHS Halloween or
keeps
something
the
like that.
anthology format, but features stronger
All of them
standout
have been
shorts
really
like
good except
Safe
for
Haven,
Viral.
Phase 1 clinical trials, and A
But
Ride in
yeah,
the Park.
I like the I
Reviewers
love like
explicitly
horror
call
anthology.
V/H/S2 a vast improvement and a better movie than the first virtually across the board, citing
I
better
agree.
pacing and
It
more
is.
engaging stories. Threads note that V/H/S2 has higher user ratings, around 6.4 versus 5.7, reflecting audience preference. This anthology sequel refines the format and segment quality to deliver what fans wanted the first time, making it the go-to recommendation, with Safe Haven as the killer segment that alone convinces many viewers the sequel is superior. Child's
Yes.
Play 2. Child's Play 2 amps
That
up
boy
Chucky's
Chucky.
presence and ends with an unforgettable Toy Factory finale, leading many horror fans and writers to argue it is the ultimate Chucky movie. Child's Play, in 1988, holds an important place as Chucky's debut, but withholds full-on killer doll action for much of its runtime, playing more like a mystery. Child's Play 2 in 1990 moves Andy into foster care and brings Chucky back earlier and more often, emphasizing his personality and set-piece kills.
Yo, Chucky was a menace in Child's Play 2. Like if you go back and watch Child's Play 2 and you listen to some of the shit that Chucky says to people in that movie, yo, it's like, where did Don Mancini come up with this shit? Like, Chucky was an asshole. He was a little asshole, yo. he was saying some crazy shit, especially that one shit he said to Kyle when he was driving. Well, she was driving, and he told her to drive, or he was gonna kick her teeth in. Like, yo, like, you little doll, I'll throw your ass out this car.
A feature titled 5 Reasons Child's Play 2 is Better Than the Original argues it offers the definitive Chucky experience, with more emphasis on the doll and sharper pacing. Fans single out the Toy Factory climax, with industrial assembly line carnage, as one of the series' greatest sequences. This sequel improves by shifting focus from a slow-burn mystery to the killer icon himself, creating a franchise entry that feels like the definitive version in fan memory,
Yeah,
delivering
just let
more
Chucky do what he
sooner
does.
and wilder with the Toy Factory showdown as the visual centerpiece. If you found this valuable, consider subscribing so you never miss new content. Thanks for watching.
Hey man, that was a fire ass video. Yeah, there are a lot of sequels out there that don't surpass the original or aren't better than the original, and then there are a lot that are, and I do agree with a lot that's on this list except for 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like I said, I don't even consider that a sequel to Cloverfield. It's a spiritual sequel or whatever, but yeah, man, I like doing videos like these. I enjoy it. If you guys enjoyed the video, rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below if you want to see more of these videos. Like I said, I love horror. I love horror short films. I love reacting to those. Anything you guys want me to react to, you know what I'm saying, just let me know, and hey, I'm gonna react to it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy Tyshawn Miller Films. I'll see you in my next reaction, and as always,
I'll be right back.